Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you now straight from the headquarters of the Topkats Pride, is presented the unusual but factual and oftentimes controversial Wow News, featuring various international reports that will inform you and keep you in the know while you're on the go. And now, your Wow News reporter, Q. Pate.
I'm Otis Q. Pate from the Topkats Pride, and I have a very interesting retroactive report that I'd like to share with you. And I am very puzzled, I must say, right before I begin, on the reasons why this report has not gone viral around the world and constantly talked about on the news. This report here in the third week of July is from dailymail.co.uk, and this is also a report from the Daily Mail Reporter titled "The World's First Illustrated Christian Bible Discovered at Ethiopian Monastery." The world's first earliest illustrated Christian book has been saved by a British charity which located it at a remote Ethiopian monastery. The incredible Garima Gospels, and Garima is spelled Garima, are named after a monk who arrived in the African country in the 5th century and is said to have copied them out in just one day. Beautifully illustrated, the colors are still vivid and, thanks to the Ethiopian Heritage Fund, have been conserved. Abba, Garima, Abba is spelled A-B-B-A, arrived from Constantinople in 494 AD. And legend has it that he was able to copy the Gospels in a day because God delayed the sun from setting. The incredible relic has been kept ever since in the Garima Monastery near Adwa, spelled A-D-W-A, in the north of the country, which is in the Tigray region at 7,000 feet. Experts believe it is also the earliest example of a book binding still attached to the original pages. The survival of the Gospels is incredible, considering the country has been under Muslim invasion, Italian invasion, and a fire in the 1930s destroyed the monastery's church. They were written on goat skin in the early Ethiopian language of Ge'ez, spelled capital G-E apostrophe E-Z. There are 2 volumes which date from the same time, but the second one is written in a different hand from the first. Both contain illustrations and the 4 Gospels, though the text has been mentioned by the occasional traveler since the 1950s. It had been thought that they dated from the 11th century at the earliest. Carbon dating, however, gives a date between 330 and 650 AD, which is tantalizingly overlaps the date Abba Garima arrived in the country. So, the first volume could be in his hand, even if he didn't complete the task in a day, as the oral tradition states. The charity Ethiopian Heritage Fund, that was set up to help preserve the treasures in the country, has made the stunning discovery. They were also allowed incredibly rare access to the texts so experts could conserve them on site. It is now hoped the Gospels will be put in a museum at the monastery where visitors will be able to view them. Blair Priday, last name spelled Priday, from the Ethiopian Heritage Fund said, Ethiopia has been overlooked as a source of these fantastic things. Many of these old Christian relics can only be reached by hiking and climbing to the remote monasteries, as roads are limited in these mountainous regions. All the work on the texts were done in situ, spelled S-I-T-U, and everything is reversible. So, if in the future they can be taken away for further conservation, we won't have hindered that. The pages had been crudely stitched together in a restoration in the 1960s, and some of the pages would even turn, and they were falling to pieces. The Garima Gospels had been kept high and dry, which has helped preserve them all of these years, and they are kept in the dark so the colors look fresh. That was the most astounding of all our projects, and the patriarch, the head of the Ethiopian church, had to give his permission. Most of the experts did the work for nothing. We are currently undertaking other restoration programs on wall paintings and religious texts. We believe that preserving Ethiopia's cultural heritage will help to increase visitor revenue and understanding of the extraordinary history of the country. Now, before I forget, I just want to mention that this article is from July 5th, 2010. And as I had alluded to earlier, before reporting this to you, I am very surprised. I'm baffled that this information was not saturated in the media, because most of the Western world, as far as religion is concerned, most are Christians, and this pertains to Christianity. So, in your opinion, leave a comment, some thoughts on why you think that this story was not saturated in the mainstream media like they do so many other stories of far, 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 far less importance. I think with there being billions upon billions of Christians on this planet, and arguably most of them are in the Western world, I wonder why they didn't do that with this particular topic, which pertains to billions of Christians on planet Earth. Nevertheless, I'd like to give much respect to dailymail.co.uk. Some additional thoughts about this article is that it said here that the gospel that they found, the Garima Gospels, which are named after a monk who arrived in Africa in the 5th century, they said that these gospels were written and carbon dated back to 330 and 650 AD. And so they pretty much put it at 494 AD. So these gospels, or this gospel Bible, is 1,117 years older than the King James Version. The King James Version Bible was written in 1611 AD. That was the first edition. So this gospel, as I said, is 1,117 years older than the King James Bible, which was a translated Bible. So with that fact alone, with the age of that alone, I am just very, very lost for words in trying to understand how in the world did this story escape the international press in a heavy rotation form. But I must say, that's what the Topkats Pride is all about. We are about rehashing stories, reloading stories, making important stories that we consider gems, retroactive. These stories deserve that type of respect. The world's first illustrated Christian Bible, discovered at Ethiopian Monastery. Thank you for joining me. My name is Otis Q. Pate. Take care.